portions that you need to do. So about this course, I think astronomy is a practical course. You know, the whole, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Now, how does that work? Well, it's because the Earth is spinning on its axis. Well, how does the moon kind of fit into that? You know, those are the sort of things, especially we're going to talk about right off the bat. You know, how are stars, is that star always going to look like that? Probably not. How long do I need to wait for it to maybe change colors? Because stars do change colors, or blow up. Those are the sort of things we'll talk about. It's a practical thing. So it's a good one. The thing about astronomy, too, and maybe you're like me, is it's beautiful. It's just, and one reason to get the textbook is just the pictures are like, oh, that is so pretty. So the course, onto the course outline, it's broken up into 5 units. That 5th unit, I don't know if we'll have enough time to really cover it. But the first 4 units are complete units. So you can see, actually, no, it's broken up into 6 units. 6 units, thanks. This is my first semester because to give you 5-unit exams instead of 4-unit exams, because I just think sometimes it's like a big old chunk on a unit exam. I'm like, hey, let's chop it up a little bit. So, and actually here in a minute, I'm going to give you an exam schedule, a tentative exam schedule. I'm so excited. So you kind of know when the tests are coming up. So the first unit, we'll kind of get into the lecture slides on Friday. But we'll kind of take an overview of the universe, talk about the nighttime sky, what you see, and basically, I think it's kind of fun to think, what did they think like 500 BC? When they looked up at the nighttime sky, and without that extra light pollution that we get from our nighttime skies, sometimes, and what did they think? And so we'll kind of talk about Unit 2, which is chapters 4, 5, and 6. If you look in your textbook, you'll see that actually chapters 4 and 5 are kind of heavy in the science. So Unit 2 is kind of like, we'll try to kind of keep it light, no pun intended, but it will seem to kind of get a little heavy. And then on to Unit 3, which I believe we get to talk about the planets. Right? Yep, Unit 3. Before we talk about the planets, we'll talk about the formation of our solar system, and then we'll talk about planets. We'll end up talking about Pluto will fit in there somewhere, which is no longer a planet. It's a dwarf planet, right? Unit 4, we'll be talking about stars. We'll start out with our sun, and then we'll talk about other stars, how they live their lives and how they die. That's everybody heard the supernova explosion, that sort of thing. We'll end up talking about that, one path that stars can in their lives. In Unit 5, we'll talk about our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, and other galaxies, and kind of our overall structure of our universe. Also in Unit 5, we'll talk about the Big Bang, okay, why we think that that's the case, why is that the current theory. Unit 5, we'll talk about dark matter, dark energy. Unit 6, if we have time, we'll talk about life in the universe. Some of you are familiar with, gosh, I don't know what year it was, maybe 1930 or so. Dr. Drake came up with the Drake equation, which is kind of the formula for is there life in the universe, that sort of thing. Is there other life? Excuse me, we are alive. And in the Drake equation, there's one factor of how many stars have planets orbiting them. And since, it's been kind of recent, since 1990 or so, what we're finding is that most stars have planets orbiting them. Isn't that cool? Not only that, but we're finding, and you've probably heard in the news, we're finding more and more Earth-like stars, Earth-like planets orbiting other stars. You're like, dude, how cool is that? And they talk about the habitable zone and all that stuff. So, okay. So let's see, student assessment. For those of you who, and I would encourage you to find your way to the eCompanion site for this class. I will be posting your grades. I'll use the gradebook feature of eCompanion so you can kind of see where you're at in the class. Let's see. So at the end of the syllabus, if you want to kind of the last page, it actually breaks out what percentage all of this is. So there's a certain percentage of chapter assignments, I'll talk about those in a minute. Certain percentage of your overall course grade is wrapped up in quizzes. Of course, you're getting lab credit for this class, which is kind of exciting. You're going to have to complete 4 lab exercises. I'll talk about that. Okay, and your in-class exams. Okay, so my lecture is in PowerPoint, which I'm a believer in PowerPoint, or I guess I wouldn't use it. This semester, though, I'll kind of give you a preview. If you haven't bought the PowerPoint slides, which you need to have those, they're going to look like this. Okay, and what's different for me this semester is, for students, is they're like 2 slides on a page instead of 6 slides on a page. 6 slides on a page made them so small. So here you have room to kind of write in the margins and that sort of thing. One of the things, though, that has done for me is some of my slides are busier than they used to be. Let's see if I can see a good example. This says celestial sphere, which I love celestial sphere, just saying it, right? Celestial sphere is just basically kind of the set of stars, how they look in the nighttime sky, make up what we call a celestial sphere. But my point is that's a lot on a slide, but I did that on purpose, so you can have a big, and then, do you guys see the blanks too? There's like blanks here. Okay, so that's what your slides are gonna look like. So you have to fill in the blanks, you get to fill in the blanks. And the other thing is you have margins to doodle in, you know, I'm a doodler. So a lot of times doodling helps me concentrate, okay? So that's that. Any questions about that? Okay, the second paragraph under, with regard to etiquette and all that, it's the typical thing, you know, just picture if your mom was up here, or if you were up here talking, you know, how would you want people to behave and that sort of thing, so. Be on time, all that stuff. Let's see, attendance, I took attendance, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I do that every day. And something different for me is again, to the e-companion thing, the grade book, right? There's a slot for you guys to click on your, see what you're doing in the course. But also, I think there's going to be a tab for it says attendance, and I think I'm going to use that, so I push out the attendance, so you can actually kind of keep track of when you're here. You know when you're here, but I don't know either. Something different. Cheating, I don't run into it a lot. Sometimes you really don't even need to, like if you're working with somebody on your chapter assignments and you guys write down kind of like verbatim the same thing, just try to mix up the words a little bit. It's that sort of thing. And don't lift things directly from the textbook, okay? So exams, there are 5-unit exams this semester. So let me give you the exam schedule. So we're all on the same page. Now, here's your exam schedule, but it says tentative. So it won't be any sooner than this. These are all Wednesdays. Oh, there goes my Wednesday. These are all Wednesdays. Yeah. But they could be Fridays, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not quite there. So.
It's even worse.
Yeah, I'd rather do it on Thursdays.
September 2nd, man, am I sure about that? I don't know. That's the goal. Yeah, you see, September 2nd is our first start
I
day.
have class in Burlington tomorrow. I don't have any with her.
Any questions about that? And I'll go ahead and push this out under doc sharing too, under the e-companion doc sharing. So if you lose this, you have it. Okay, so exams. There's probably a few things to say about exams. So the exams have 3 sections. Just depending upon what kind of learner you are. The first section is multiple choice, the second section is vocabulary, and the third section is short answer. It's very similar to my meteorology, how I teach meteorology. And also similar to meteorology that I teach in the spring, which is a great class too. A few things is you get to bring a note card with you to the test. Yeah. Well, let's go about 4 by 6 this semester, okay? So what that note card is just a kind of, you bring it to your test and you have it filled out ahead of time with things you think might help you on your test. Okay, so front and back. but it has to be handwritten. So, any questions about that? Okay, and also, prior to the test, I'll give you, I call them review sheet, but it basically, for each chapter, I kind of break out topics that, of things that made it to the test. So, kind of hints there too. And I've been doing this a few years, so I keep kind of tweaking things and adding on. And I'm gonna have review sessions, just one review session though. And where did I did. So it's always gonna be, right after lecture. Some people can't make it. It'll be right after lecture, the lecture before your test. So for instance, if, September 2nd, Wednesday, September 2nd is your unit exam, we'll have our review the Monday before, right after class. That makes sense? Yeah, so it's outside of class, and you don't have to come. I will record those review sessions, and then make them available, make those recordings available. Let me talk about recordings. I'm recording now, so I don't know if there's my iPad over there, that's the mic, so I don't know how far it carries. But I'm gonna record all of my lectures and that review session. And so here's the deal. You can get to the recorded lectures either from the eCompanion, like if you come into eCompanion, I'll show you. Here's what your eCompanion looks like this semester. It's not entirely ready to go, but it's pretty much ready to go. You see there's 2 columns, okay? Actually, there's 4 columns. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Okay, so this is what yours looks like. Okay, so this first column is you guys. This column is my night class. This column is miscellaneous, and this column actually is a Twitter feed. Okay, these 2 columns are Twitter feeds too. Anybody in here use Twitter? Okay. If you follow me, I promise I won't stalk you. How's that? I don't have very many followers, I don't know. So here's the deal. That last column, this black one over here, that's this Twitter feed. So it's just it's EA Snipes _SCI. So that's just science stuff for me. And then the first column, where you can like get lectures and stuff, is EA Snipes _PHS151. Okay, so it's a thought. Yeah. I think you don't have to officially follow somebody. You can just go to twitter.com and just take a look at somebody's stuff if you don't want to follow. So. Okay? So those are those 3 things. So when we have a review session, it's pretty easy. I'll just record it and I wrap it up as a YouTube video and then push the link there. And just Monday, Wednesday, Friday lectures, I do the same thing. We're good? Oh yeah, so while we're here, so I talked about throwing up documents. There's a tab called Doc Sharing, okay? And, well, this needs to go away. This is old. But there will be, here's where you'll have access to current documents. Delete. Okay. Let's see here, what else would you used to use? I guess you'd want to maybe use the gradebook. So in here is your guys' names listed, ready to put those A's in there, okay? It won't be A's, but it'll be 100%. Just for you guys, okay? And then the last thing that's kind of handy, there's different ways for, I don't know how you guys email teachers, well, probably just email teachers. But here's another way to email teachers or email anybody in your class. So you guys all have an email tab, and you can send stuff to me or send stuff to your peers. And this, by the way, is how easy way I can communicate with you guys in mass. One way. All right. Where were we? Exams. Any questions about the exams? No. September 2nd, man, that's coming up.
Oh, are the review sessions gonna be extra credit like they were in?
No.
All right.
So in the past, I've given extra credit for coming to the review session, but I'm just gonna have one review session. Not everybody can make it, so.
You could do the keyword thing again.
Do the what?
Keyword, remember, for meteorology, where you said a word.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's saying, you know, if the instructor wants to know if you watch their video, they can like, the secret word is, and then they say the secret word, and then you have to say what it was. Yeah, we did that. So, yeah, there's really, this semester, not really extra credit per se, but. Okay, so all teachers need to accommodate a situation in which a student cannot be there for the test. Okay, so the way I've done it, I kind of like it, is first off, you know in advance when the tests are tentatively. So if you know that you're not going to be here, you can take it early. It's a thought. Yeah, and if that's the case, what I'll do is I'll leave it a copy. You guys know where the Success Center is? Yeah, copy in the Success Center with your name, and they'll proctor it for us. Okay. If time comes and you just, you know, things fall apart and you can't make a test, you know, let me know when you get a chance. You know, but what's going to happen is you'll get a 0 for that test. It just won't put anything in the grade book. And then what I'll do is when you take your final exam, okay, I will take the percentage you earned on your final and it'll count twice. So it'll count as your final and also count as that missed unit exam, okay? But you can read in my syllabus, I also do something with, even if you take all 5 unit exams, okay, what I'll do in the end is, let's say one of your unit exams you got a 70% on, and you're like, some people like, oh, some people are like, I didn't want a 70, I wanted higher. Well, let's just say on your final you got like a 90%. And I'll tell you why you could get 90% on your final. Okay, so let's say you got a 90% on your final, it will count twice. It'll count as your final, and it'll also count as I'll take your 70 and out, and we'll substitute in there for that. Okay, so it can substitute for missed exam or your lowest unit exam if it's in your favor. Now, if you've got a 70 on your final, and that's your lowest, that's lower than any of your unit exams, no substitution will occur. So that's kind of how I handle that. Your final unit exam in here, okay, most of the questions you will have seen before, because all I do for your final is I pick my favorite unit exam questions and I put them on the final. So, yeah. Do we keep our exams, or do we keep your exams? Yeah, we keep your exams. And I will also post exam keys under doc sharing in the e-companion site. So, yeah, I'm excited because, like, if you come in and you ace that final in December around Christmas time, right? That just means that you cared enough to look through your, you know, old unit exams and correct them, or so. Yeah. Okay. That's that. Okay, homework assignments. Let me give you the first one. You're welcome. So there's 3 chapters in Unit 1, and these are not due. They're due after we finish a chapter. So they're due the election period after we finish a chapter. So the second paragraph under homework assignments kind of is important. It says that you can handwrite them, but you can also type them, which is probably even better. Depends on your handwriting. If it's neat, that's cool. Thank you. Yes. Typing's really good. And here, this college, it's always got computers available. Like, you guys know where that computer lab is, and they got printers there. And yeah, you guys as students have like a number of pages you can print for free. I know some students are like, at the end of the semester, if they haven't used up their printing balance, they'll just go print a book. So that. Okay. So, yeah. But the other thing, they should be neat, and they need to be written in complete sentences. So this says incomplete sentences will have points deducted. So go for all those, okay? I think that's Okay, so you guys' is due by 3 p.m. on the day that they're due. Okay, let's say, so chapter 1, we're gonna start in on Friday. Let's say we get through we take Friday and we take Monday to finish chapter 1. Then that means on Wednesday of the following week, chapter 1 will be due. Does that make sense? You can turn them in early. And I prefer turning them in on limited basis. You can email them to me. The problem with emailing to me is I lose them sometimes. She's like, how can you lose an email? I don't know. So, because you should see how many, like, thousands of emails I have not opened. So, okay. I think I need to unsubscribe to some things. So, in-class quizzes are pretty painless. Okay, so basically, you'll come in and there'll be a question up here, so you need to take a piece of paper and answer the question. And I'll collect them. And while you're answering the questions, you can use your notebooks, you can use your textbook, you can even Google it. Okay. Okay. So laboratory, okay. The lab, I have a second handout for the labs. But right off the bat, and I have dates associated with those, 8th full week of class, 14th full week of class, I have dates coming up for those. But here's where, if you don't mind, taking your syllabus and editing it that way. See, my copy. Where it says Addendum 1 and Addendum 2, that's not what the document looks like anymore. So just take, because otherwise I think this will make it less confusing. Addendum 1, draw a line through. Addendum 2. It is correct that they are called scheduled labs and at-large labs, so I think that will work. It's a single document. And then the paragraph under that, it says refer to Addendum 1, Addendum 2. Of course, that goes out. And if you just draw a line through that and write single document, that should do it. All right. Oh, while I'm at it, there's one more thing under eCompanion, where it says I'm going to use doc sharing to push things out to you. One of the things I'm not going to use doc sharing is to push out homework. So that can go away. The word homework. Okay? Okay, so now let's look back at the whole, I think instead of my syllabus here about labs, what's going to really make it more clear, hopefully, is this handout. How are we doing? Do you read in my syllabus how many labs you need to complete? Awesome. Because sometimes this thing I'm going to give you, sometimes students look at that like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding. But if you've ever been to like Ryan's, which Burlington closed their Ryan's, but if you've ever been to a buffet, that's what this is. This is a total lab fest, food fest. Because sometimes students are like, there is totally no way.
Where's Sperry, Iowa?
Sperry is, like, to get to Burlington, you guys would take 61, right? Or we would take 61. So Sperry is basically, you go through Burlington on 61, and the next town you come to is Mediapolis, where I graduated from, okay? So here's Burlington, here's Mediapolis, okay? In between is Sperry on your, I guess it'd be the east side, or on your right, okay? There's Sperry. A little bit past that you need to turn, like you're gonna go to, it's called Big Hollow Recreation Area. There's a brown sign because it's a county thing. So brown county sign, Big Hollow Recreation Area. So actually the observatory is part of the recreation area. So it's not too bad. There's signage, so that helps. So Sperry is between Burlington and Mediapolis. And so I used to try to give maps and that sort of thing, but these days you can about Google it and, you know, come up with something better than a map I could try to give you. So let's take a look at this. So you only need 4, but the reason I have such an assortment of opportunities, some of these opportunities don't have anything to do with me, they have to do with you. So if you can on your own knock out what I feel is legitimate lab credit, then awesome. But the other thing is I don't think you should have to knock it out yourself. So I want to, what I call host, some opportunities, some lab opportunities. So it's kind of a mixture of things. So that's why there's the 2 types, okay? There's the scheduled labs, and then there are the what I call at-large labs, which is things you do on your own. So starting with the scheduled labs, before we start with it, these 4 paragraphs are important with regard to getting lab credit, okay? So for instance, I guess these last 2 paragraphs, actually, if you want to kind of pick on paragraphs, these right here, okay? You do need to, and this is something, if you know people took astronomy from me before, this is different than what they experienced, okay? I think it's good. But you guys need to type it. You need to type your lab reports, double-spaced, okay? And the thing about what needs to be included in your lab, I'm going to tell you it momentarily. Because it depends upon which lab you did as to what you need to do for your report. The other thing, though, here I've kind of unpacked. I say that 2 labs are due by October 18th. It's a Friday, midnight. Okay. Now, these could lend themselves to actually emailing these to me. Okay. So one of the things, kind of that same paragraph, I say you can definitely email me your lab reports. Okay. So 2 are due by then. Now, can you have all 4 due? Oh, excuse me, not due. Can you complete all 4 prior to that and send them to me? That'd be awesome. Because honestly, the problem that we run into is as we get closer to December, the end of the semester, it gets cold. And they aren't nearly as fun to observe the stars when you're going like this. Okay. Then the other 2, it's also a Friday. I think it's the Friday before Thanksgiving. Is November 20th. You need to have your other 2. So just 4, which isn't too bad. Okay. I was chatting to my husband about this class, and he's like, you mean they could go to, like, because this Friday, so today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This Friday, actually, the observatory is open for public viewing. You mean they could actually go to the Whitty Observatory on Friday and get a lab credit? I'm like, yes. So I hope you do. It's warm. Come on, it's warm. Any questions about this part? All right, so let's look at your scheduled labs. So scheduled isn't necessarily I'm hosting them. I am hosting 4 scheduled labs, but scheduled just means you have to be somewhere at a certain time, a certain place at a certain time. Okay, so I kind of have them, and these 1 through 7, I break them out in the next couple of pages. I did notice, after I had it printed, so I didn't print them up again, I did notice that I turn around, let's see, how do I say this? I think I call this 1, and I call this 2, and then I call this 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, but you can recognize them from the title. Okay. So here's the deal then. So I host 5 labs. The first 5 are the ones that I host, 1 through 5. Okay, see at Keokuk, at Keokuk, at Keokuk. I host this one, the Whitty Observatory, okay, and this one at the Whitty Observatory. So you need to know if the dates you see on the next page, you need to know if it's cloudy, bless you, if it's cloudy we can't see the stars, we can't see the moon, we can't see the sun, okay, if it's cloudy. So what I've done is, if you look ahead, the first 5, I actually have 2 dates, okay? The first date is what I call the primary date, and the second date for that same activity is a secondary date. So if it's cloudy, if we can't see the moon or the stars or the sun, okay, I'm gonna cancel that first one, and we're gonna go with a secondary date. So you'd be like, well, how do I know, Mrs. Snipes? Well, there's 2 ways you'll know. One way is for me to send a mass email right quick to everybody, and that's definitely what I'll do. Okay, I will keep, if you need to use your SEC email address, or check your incoming mailbox of your SEC email address. And that's where I will send you a message about that particular lab, okay? The other thing is you can call my office phone, and I will change my outgoing message to say, if you're calling in regards to the blah, blah, blah lab, you know, it has been postponed or canceled. The primary date has been canceled, okay? I also send you an email and change my outgoing message if it's a go too, because you're like, I don't know. It is officially a go, so I'll send something out regardless. Any questions? And they are fun, so they make me smile. Okay, so the morning viewing lab, this is the only one that has 2 asterisks. I love the morning viewing lab, okay? But you can see that if our primary date goes in October, and by the way, I picked all these dates specifically by looking at, is the moon going to wash out everything out, or is the moon not there so we can see what we want to see? Sometimes we want to see the moon, so the best time to view the moon with a telescope is when it's a quarter. So that's kind of how I picked these dates. But October 27th at 5:30 in the morning, Whitty Observatory. But I need a commitment from, what did I say? At least 2. So we'll see. I got my fingers crossed. And it can be, I have an online section too. I actually have 3 sections. So you guys, my night on Thursdays, and my online section. So I just need 2. It's fun. So if it's cloudy on October 27th, unfortunately, at the end of October, beginning of November, we do the whole daylight savings thing. We fall back. So that means our secondary date, we have to be there at 4:30. And then go back to sleep. Come on, come up and go back to sleep. Okay, so it's a thought. Okay, that's just the craziest one. The other ones are pretty normal. So the next ones I host, the 2, 3, and 4, are all here at the Keokuk campus. Wait a minute. No, it's not. 2 is back at the observatory, sorry. So 2 is at the observatory, and I don't need a commitment because I figure if I don't get 2 people, my husband and I will go and open up the telescope and just enjoy seeing what's out there, okay? So we see 2 dates for the private viewing at the observatory. Then the other 3 are here at Keokuk. So just right away, if you don't want to leave this area, and if you don't want to do an at-large lab, you have an opportunity for 3 that I host here at Keokuk campus. 2 are in the evenings. The Constellations Lab I picked when the moon is not there, okay, darkest skies possible. And what we'll do for the Constellations Lab and the Moon Lab is meet, you guys know where, it's Hawthorne, right? That's the school, okay, good. So there's the parking lot, and then there's Hawthorne, and there's kind of this kind of bulge, kind of a hilly sort of area on the other side of the parking lot. That's where I'll set up the telescopes, okay, or telescopes, okay, for the evening. Sometimes students will come in the parking lot, and they're like, I don't see any activity up there. Well, because it's kind of dark. Just walk up the hill, you know, hey, we're up here. Okay, so that's where the constellations and the moon viewing will be. You see the dates, the primary and the secondary date. Any questions? Okay. The sun viewing, and those are both at 9:30, because I have my class goes till 8:30, and I figure, the thing is, though, on Thursday, because there's on Thursday nights, after class, a lot of times I'll have things set up kind of about 9, so if you want to come 9:30, I'm setting up, or it's ready to go. The sun viewing, of course, needs to be during the daytime, and again, it's on a Thursday at 11:30. I mean? You're like, oh my gosh, are you not done with this yet? Okay, there's 2 other scheduled opportunities for you. And one is coming up Friday. It's scheduled because you have to be somewhere at some time. I'm not hosting it, but I think I'll be there on Friday at the observatory. So, and we talked about kind of where that is. Let me know if you want better instructions. I'll remind you Friday. Okay. And then the other one is there's another observatory complex that the Cedar Rapids Astronomy Club runs, and it is actually north of Iowa City. So it's almost all the way to Cedar Rapids. So I would Google it. I gave a website, I think, here for you to go to if you're interested in that. That's a great place. So an observatory has telescopes. You might be familiar with the word planetarium. A planetarium, probably no telescopes. Planetariums are like if you go to the Adler Theater, you know, planetariums have the movie IMAX things. Planetarium versus observatory. All right, any questions about those? Whew, all right. Still not done. Okay, so for any of those scheduled lab reports, see the little check marks? Those should be the check marks. You take your lab report you're about ready to give to me. You should go through those check marks and see if your lab report contains all those. Okay, so title and purpose of activity, kind of obvious, right? Notice I said I want complete sentences, double-spaced, type double-spaced. When the activity occurred, when you were there, description of equipment used, just do your best. You might want to take a notebook to jot things down or ask questions. We'll be talking more about telescopes, the 2 different types of telescopes. What you saw, that's the 4th check. A little bit about kind of the science of what you saw. So if you saw the moon, for instance, you could say something about something you already know, the moon, orbiting the Earth, that sort of thing. Just something to impress your 5th graders. Something about the science. And then this last one is you need to have a photo of you doing the activity. Okay, so my husband and I would talk back and forth, well, this is the practical, blah, 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 and I think it's very practical. As many people as have smartphones, or I don't have a smartphone, but my phone takes pictures, okay? If you're having a hard time getting your photo attached to your report, I just now thought of this, feel free to kind of show me your photo or something like that. Any questions about that? Okay, so those are things that are scheduled. Then we go on to things you do on your own. And I call them at-large labs. And they come in a combination, or they come in kind of these categories 1 through 6. Starting with the first one. I have another handout for the first one. So notice next to them, the first 3, I don't have anything in, well, even the 6th, item number 6. You don't have to have a telescope to do the first one. You don't have to have a telescope to observe meteors. The second one, you don't have to have a telescope to visit a planetarium. You do have to have some money to visit a planetarium. Okay, in my description of a planetarium, I of course give the Chicago and the St. Louis, and there's one in Des Moines. Those are the ones I know about. Okay, the next 2 the next one, you need either binoculars or a telescope. And then viewing planets, you need a telescope. We may not get through all this today. This is a lot. But let's just plow through, shall we? Sky map, right? You see the black dots? Those black dots are stars. Do some of the black dots look bigger than others? That's just a brighter star. Isn't that cool? And you see like the little stick figures drawn from the stars? What are those? First see. Constellations, yeah. Anybody have a favorite constellation?
Jupiter,
Oh, I love it, yeah. Good one. Any other ones? Orion.
And say I like Orion.
I love Orion. Orion's very pretty. You know, sometimes people take this class and they're like, I don't know any constellations. Well, that's cool too. And the thing, like if you come out Friday to the observatory, we'll have these sky maps out there for you because it's just kind of nice. If you go to the observatory, you kind of want to know what the sky is. So notice that this sky map I gave you, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, it's got a month, right? The thing is, and we'll be talking more about this, you don't see the same stars each month. They change. Okay, so this is for August. Other thing about sky map, quite frankly, is if you lay it down, which way is north? Okay, south. But which way is east? It's this way on the sky map. Like, look here, this is east. That says west. You know why they do that? Because if you hold it over your head, it works. Let's see, how are we? So that's north, right? Okay, that's north towards Burlington. Okay, and that's south, right? Okay, if I hold it over my head, now I have west. Go ahead, hold it over your heads, come on. You guys know which way's north?
I understand. Well,
I understand now.
I think that way.
Yeah, that way's north, that way's south. Come on, we all need to look like fools. Hold these over our heads, okay? And then the sun rises where? In the
Sun sets in the west.
and sets in the west, yeah. So actually, that's actually kind of nice in this room. If we all kind of, we should bring sticky notes that say N for north. Actually, see that clock? That's going to be Polaris. That's going to be the star Polaris, right? Okay, meet Polaris. Okay, and then south, and so that makes east and west. So kind of for later reference, and this semester. So that's how that works. Now, you can see that for the Constellations Lab, you need a map because this is going to be part of your report. Okay. So it doesn't have to be this one, but if you want this one, it's skymaps.com. I think it's I got a little thing there. And I'll be giving these. I'll give a new one for September. It needs to be dark skies as much as possible, and you're going to match up. See, that's why I think it's important to know how you hold this. Okay, you're going to try your best to match up these black dots with the stars that you see. Okay, and you're going to circle the patterns that you see. We'll be talking more about it, how to do that. All right, so what do you need to do to get credit? This will be the only one we talk about the other ones on Friday. To get credit, it needs to be typed up, and see those check marks there? Those check marks are your checklist for getting full credit in your lab report for this particular lab that you do on your own. Okay, purpose, now these would be things that you type up. What was the purpose of the lab? And a lot of times the purpose of the lab is just to familiarize yourself with constellations. Okay, where were you when you observed the stars? What time? What was the date? General viewing conditions. Which constellations did you observe? Which were difficult, which were easy to find, okay? The next one under that, were there constellations that you tried to find and couldn't? Okay, and then the check mark before the photo is this, okay? And you circle these up. Any questions about that one? You can see the wheels turning. Well, let's go ahead and just make sure you bring this document. Well, on Friday, before we start lecture, we're going to finish this document. Because it's time to go. And if you have any questions between now and then, just let me know.